think we did it. Okay, I think people are excited about this one. You know, I can tell there's more people here than normally when I'm just 3 minutes into the show. So let's just get right into it then. Steve,
Awesome.
I appreciate you being here, buddy. Like this is I'd like to say this is a big, well-conceived, pre-planned thing, but no. Basically, I woke up and I'm like, I'll bet Steve could help me today. I'll bet he would help get me into production. Because I said I wanted to go from stupid to secure like this morning, and then to make things more complicated, I've got a dentist appointment in 2 hours, so we have to go from stupid to secure with enough time for me to get in a car and take a 15-minute Uber ride to downtown where there's no parking. So,
all right. Well, I think we could do it. What do you think?
I think we can do it with you. There's no doubt. If it was just me, we'd just be sitting here like I don't know. We'd probably devolve into like I don't know, something else. It's very sad. So. So we've got for the background here. There in Spring Security 5, which came out 5+ years ago, we slowly started the work of subsuming the Spring Security OAuth project, the standalone Spring Security OAuth project, which offered 3 things. Right, one is the ability to do OAuth clients like OAuth login, that kind of stuff, OIDC, that kind of stuff. Then there's OAuth resource server support, so you can actually take an API and protect it by accepting a token and all that. And then there was finally the Spring Security OAuth Authorization Server. And that piece, at first we kind of punted on that, didn't we? We kind of said, nah, we're not going to do that. There are plenty of existing options out there that are quite good, like Keycloak, like Okta, like Auth0 at the time. There are 2 different things. You know, lots of things out there that you could have used rather than our thing. And I think, you know, it's an example of the community saying, no, that's
right.
We insist. We really. So we created this skeletal GitHub repository, and I think the idea was that we would just mentor some people on the outside, and then it just got like a crap ton of attention. I mean, it was one of our most voted up discussions and issues ever, right? So I guess that, you know, the community is like, well, no, we insist. We want you to focus on this. So we did, and we, you know, the Spring Authorization Server is not in of itself all that new. It's been around now in some form for a couple of years, but having it in this new Spring Boot 3.1 release, which is just packed to the gills with cool stuff, already. I mean, just under the covers is just like one more thing, like the Steve Jobsian one more thing. Right as you're about to get off stage, there's a full freaking authorization server in it now. Just
right.
Full IDP, does everything you don't ever want. You know, like. So I didn't even notice that was coming. I was so focused on the test containers and the Docker Compose and you know, there's even the SSL bundle stuff. There's just a lot of great stuff, and then kind of buried in the README is authorization server. You know, like
right.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's exciting.
It's so exciting. Like, yeah, it's a big deal. So what does the authorization server do? Like, it's an OAuth IDP, right? Like.
That's right. You can basically use it to mint tokens, and you have a lot of different flows that are supported. And so, you know, when you think about an OAuth 2 server, you might just think of a plain authorization use case. You know, I want an admin to be able to access resources or some kind of service-to-service architecture. Right. But it does more than that. It does OpenID Connect. It does, you know, OAuth 2 login. So you can use it to secure your applications as well. So it does a lot of stuff out of the box. Absolutely.
So we're already getting questions. Great questions. Hello, everybody. By the way, look at all these wonderful people that have joined us. Really, they're here to see you, Steve. This is, you know, these people know I'm a clown. They know what's good today. They showed up. So hello, Amit. Good to see you. Good morning. Hello, that's myself. Good morning, Raja. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Hello, Simon. Again, how are you, buddy? Serengeti Sun, good to see you again. Hi, how are you? Hello, Siva. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see. Hello, hi, good evening. Hello, you know, just lots of people. Friday evening is saved. Steve.
Wow.
Lots of money
big.
Like, don't screw this up. That poor person's Friday evening depends on this going well.
Right.
So yeah, no stress. Okay, so yeah, hello from Morocco. Hello, bonjour depuis San Francisco. Where are you? Where in the world are you, my friend?
I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, if you've ever heard of it.
Home of the great steaks.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Omaha, Nebraska. Hello. Hello. Hi. Hello. Look at all these people. Look at all these wonderful people that want to learn about OAuth and Spring Authorization Server and all that stuff. Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. We have a great question already from our friend in Morocco. Does the Spring Authorization Server work with Facebook or Google like Keycloak? I didn't find any examples since it's relatively new.
Well, as it happens, in the last release, we've added a how-to guide on exactly that topic. So if you want to head over to the project page, you can get to our reference documentation. And from there, there's a list of how-to guides, and one of them is how to do that.
Oh, that's so cool. No pressure. Exactly, Simon. From Guinea, West Africa. Yeah, very small world. I love it. How to convince stakeholders to move to Spring Authorization Server. It's one of the nice things about the authorization server is it's just a little tiny library. They may not even know this,
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, what does
no
that
golf,
conversation look like in your org, right? Yeah.
no golf games required. Okay, I just want to see it. Let's just make it happen. So we're gonna I'm gonna share my screen here.
Okay.
And again, you're gonna be my security Sherpa, my Yoda, right? So let's see. What about Spring OAuth with Google Identity? I think didn't we just talk about that? I think we just talked about that. That's another question. Okay. Okay, so you can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've done absolutely zero prep. So my hope is we start here. We go to start.spring.io. I call this what? Auth server, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Right? And then authorization server.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. That's it, right?
So what about the GraalVM story? How's that look right now?
So you can add GraalVM as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Oh yeah, actually, we even just got a question, right? We even just got a question. I want to know if it'll be ultra lightweight thanks to AOT with Spring native images. Yes, I guess we have the answer. Okay, first things first. Let's get it working, then we get it fast, right?
That's right.
So anything else? Do I need a persistence layer? What's the default repository for client credentials?
The default is in memory, and I think that'd probably be the easiest one to use for kind of today's demo since we haven't practiced. Yeah.
Okay, let me see. You can see I've been running code. Get rid of all that. Enter. Sweet. Okay, it's loading, downloading everything. You literally just come on, download the internet, go for it, faster. It's not like it hasn't seen this before. That's what I don't get is we couldn't pre-compute some of this stuff. I feel like it just needs to. Okay, anyway, that's a rant for another year. I don't think most people have my problem, which is I'm running brand new chunks of code every day on different libraries.
Right.
And so of course I get a little tired of the caching, the index computation and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this get me? If I just run it right now, am I already in a good place, or
so if you run it right now, because you don't have any clients registered, the auto configuration in Spring Boot won't kick in, and so you'll just have a regular web application at this point.
Okay. I like regular, but I want more. So
right.
Can we do it with properties, or is there an API I should be looking at?
So we can do it with properties. If you have the blog post that I wrote last week, we can grab some properties from there.
Oh, yes. Look at this great blog post. I'm going to put this in the chat here, people. 1 second. Here we go. Great blog post. Here we go. Or I guess this is this week. Was it May 24th? Yeah, 2 days ago. It just feels it's been a whole week since then.
It's a packed week. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you have a new superpower. Exactly. Damn right, Steve. Absolutely. Look at that. New superpower. This should be the only way we talk about what's just happened here. Is a new superpower.
I agree.
Okay. So open source framework built on top of Spring Security that allows you, getting started. So you need these properties. Now you could do YAML, but I'm a long-suffering Python programmer, and if I've learned anything, it's that spaces can't be trusted. So I'm going to just use properties. Okay. Here we go. So admin client, what is this password? Do I want to know? Can we tell anybody, or is that a secret?
You can tell everybody. Yeah, that it's a secret though. So everybody who knows has to keep it a secret. No, it's just the hashed word secret. And so I just kind of wanted to show that if you have like the Spring CLI installed, you can kind of you have that superpower as well. You can hash passwords. So
there you go. So I might need to update mine, but you can install it from Homebrew, I think, right? So so Spring, and then you do, what is it?
Spring encode password, and then you just give it the word secret or something more complicated than that.
Right, there you go. And so that should be equal to what we just had there. Let me see. Let me make this font a little smaller. You can still read that. Good. Okay, so if we look at that, it's $2 ending with PZW. Oh, I got a different result than you did.
Yeah, it's salted, so every time you do it, it'll be different, but it still works.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So we have you can do that easily. Spring encode password secret. We have a secret here. Client secret basic. So authentication methods. What does that mean?
So in this case, we're just going to start with a simple one, which means we want to authenticate as our client using HTTP basic authentication. So that's just kind of that typical basic authorization header that we'll be using. So
and so this refers to the kind of authorizations that we support our client using. So in this case, we're saying like client credentials, like username and password, basically. Is that the idea?
Yeah, exactly. We'll just use a client ID and a client secret and get a token. That's all we're going to do to start out. Yep.
Oh, Simon. Simon. Simon says we need to go to settings, tools. Let's see, settings, tools. Wait, tools. I'm in settings. Where's my tools? Okay, do you see tools? Wait, shared indexes. He just mentioned something about shared indexes. There we go. Wait, suspend local indexing to wait for shared index. It helps to reduce. Okay. Download automatically. Am I not doing this? Wait for what am I supposed to do here, Simon? Talk to me, buddy. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. That's worth a whole other thread. But thank you. Okay. So we got this password, client credentials. What are the alternatives to this? There's
authorization code we might use.
And what is the for this?
Yeah, so this is just taking a string. There's the reason for that is that you can actually create custom authorization grant types as well. So it's very extensible.
I see. Okay. Okay. Very cool. So I'm sure you can look it up in the documentation or something for the default ones that are out of the box, but just standard OAuth stuff, right? With underscore. Right. Looks like. Okay. Okay. Good. So we got scopes. These are arbitrary, right? Are these OIDC or can you create your own as well? Like
no, we can create our own. So yeah, whatever we're securing, we can start kind of creating our own authorization scheme right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just start with what you got, right? What you got is already interesting. And then we go down here to Gradle boot run. Okay. So is that it?
That's it. Let's do it, man.
That's disgusting. Really? Okay, hold on. I am offended by how easy that is. This is just, oh my God, look at that. Look at that. Okay, so we've got wow, okay. It's using get back here. It's using Apache Tomcat port 8080, all of that. It's up and running. It's got an in-memory repository. And by the way, so there are a few dimensions of persistence, right? I need to store stuff. So client credentials, the session state, I guess, whatever. I mean, what are some
Right. So in our example, we're just using the client credentials to get started. And so really we want to focus on storing our authorizations. And so if you're administering an authorization server, you would probably store those authorizations in a database. And so we do have a JDBC registered client repository and a JDBC OAuth 2 authorization service. And if you plug both of those in, you're persisting that stuff now. So
are those just beans that you define to override the
default
config?
That's right. You just define those as beans, and yeah, you're up and running.
Okay, perfect. So how do I test this? I guess we go to your blog, huh? This is
Yeah, so let's do it.
okay.
So I'm using HTTP. Are you using?
Yeah, I mean, could do. Let's see. Whoa. Okay, HTTP.
Yeah.
So let's try it. So we're going to make a post call to port 8080 on my local host to the OAuth 2 token endpoint. We're going to say that the grant type is client credentials and the scope that we want is user.read, and the authentication, the OAuth, the HTTP basic username and password is admin client and secret. Is that correct?
That's correct. You got it.
Sweet. Ridiculous. I love it. Okay. So now I can just like JQ and get the what is it? Here, dot access token or something like that, right?
That's right.
Did I do it wrong? I have to do
-R maybe.
R. Thank you.
Should be right.
Oh, look at that. I have a token. So now I mean, are we done? I guess we're done. Good night, everybody. I mean, that's like the hard part right there is getting that token going, right?
Yeah, I mean, in one sense it is, but with Authorization Server, it's not anymore. So now we get to have more fun doing other stuff, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I've got token. Oh, look at that. So this is the next thing, which is I wanted to inspect the token and see what that token tells us, right? Because that token is it's a jot. Is that the idea?
That's right. It is. Yeah.
So we can decode it and look at the information contained therein. So what is this? I mean, well, let's see. Audience is admin client. What does that mean?
So that's who this token is intended for. So because we're actually making the request as the client, we're the admin client, so it's intended for us, and that's all that specifies. So there could be more than one audience there. You notice how it's an array, but typically there will just be one.
Nice. Okay. Scope, user.read, admin client, token type bearer. Let's see. Okay. I mean, like, okay, we've got a token. I just want to like, you mentioned it could be expired. That's what the active, might be false if it's expired. Then
Yep.
So how long? What's the expiry by default?
So the default expiry is 5 minutes, which we could of course configure, and we can do that also with properties. So if you kind of scroll a little bit further, we could even play with that.
Okay. I've read this blog before. Okay, let's see. So,
and one thing I would recommend, if you go back to the post, also grab the logging level. Let's go ahead and enable trace, because we can kind of see a lot of stuff going on there if we do that. Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, this client 1 is completely arbitrary, right? This is like, if you can have a batch job, you can have a web app, you can have an iPhone client, whatever, that you can name that whatever you want, right?
100%. Yep.
Abel, our buddy, he's asking a great question, which is, what was used to sign the token? I didn't see extra keys in the config. Fair point.
Yeah. So the Spring boot auto config comes out of the box with a generated key. So we're kind of aiding the getting started experience when using Spring Boot here. And so you're going to get a lot of stuff in memory. You're going to get a lot of stuff generated. And so that's one of those things. So if we were to restart the server like you just did, that key that we signed in the previous session is now invalid. There's no public key that matches that token.
Well, so that token wouldn't work anymore.
Yep.
Okay.
So if we wanted to fix that, we would probably want to start statically defining our keys, and so that's kind of the next level. Yeah.
Okay. Let's just go through that again. So I'll go create a new token.
Okay.
Again, right? Is that fair? Like this one. Okay, I've got the token. And now I want to make that call. Inspect it again. Okay.
So if we give it about 30 seconds, we'll see that token should no longer be valid. And 30 seconds is really short, so I don't recommend taking that to production. But you could, right?
Yep. Well, so that 30 seconds, it's all in memory, right? You're keeping state on the server side associated with this token. So obviously bear that in mind. Like you could write this to a disk or a file system or something, or a database or something.
That's right.
In the meantime, since we've got like 25 more seconds, Amit asks how to integrate OAuth 2 server with SiteMinder authentication. Do we have any support in this? I haven't used SiteMinder in 15 years. I don't know.
Right. So I'd have to know a little more about the use case, but authorization server is built on Spring Security, so any authentication mechanism that you're used to using will work for you.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a really nice benefit of this.
Yep. Very, very good. Okay, you think it's been 30 seconds?
I think so.
So what do we want to do? Want to try inspecting it again?
Yeah, let's do it.
False.
Yeah.
Locked out. Denied. Okay, good.
Denied. So yeah, if you want to check your console, you can kind of see the trace of that request, and
wow,
there's a lot of output there.
Okay, so invoking. Okay, I guess this is the start of a request. Where's the most recent one? Here we go. This one.
Yep. So if you look for OAuth 2/token, that might get you to the beginning of the request.
Securing post to OAuth 2/token. Invoking the disable encode URL filter, these different filters, header. So these are all just like Spring Security.
Yeah, 100%.
Just
generic. So you just keep going.
Don't have CSR protection. Finally, okay, OIDC logout endpoint filter. So I guess at this point it's realized the filter has been invalidated, so it's invalidated our session, our state.
Well, yeah, but we'll have to keep going to find that. So there's a lot of different filters in here. Logout's one of them. We're looking for, in particular, the token introspection filter.
Oh my goodness. Token intro. Okay, everybody. No spoilers. Did it pass already? 21 of 20 token endpoint filter. Did not set security context holder since already authenticated. Checking authorization. I lost the plot. I don't know. I don't see it. Where is it?
I think you're probably on an earlier request. So you're seeing when you actually issued the token request, which is also cool. We can see that.
What was the name of the filter again that we're looking for?
You had it right there. Token introspection.
Oh, right here. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
I totally found that. That was me.
You did, because you clicked right on it. It was amazing.
You all saw it, chat. It was me. Totally. Okay. Okay. So what does this thing do?
So this is what's actually processing the request that we issued to introspect the token. And so, Spring Authorization Server operates at a little bit lower level than Spring MVC, Spring Web MVC. And so it's using a filter to actually implement an endpoint. So we issue that request, that goes into that filter, and it's going to process the request parameters, in this case, the token that you sent in. And it's going to look that token up. We see that here, where it says retrieved authorization with token.
Yeah.
And then from there, it can kind of determine what it wants to do with that.
It's not active, so it just kind of moved on. What is HSTS header?
So that's another filter in Spring Security. That's where it's writing secure headers to the response. That kind of happens towards the end of the request lifecycle. So.
Okay. So I mean, this is the hard part. We got a token. Now I want to use this in, let's say I wanted to stand up a resource server. I want to create a REST endpoint and then lock it down and have it get a token from here and then use that to make a request to that endpoint. Can we do that?
We can. So I think that's the perfect thing to do is let's start by building a resource server first, right?
Okay, and then we can do OIDC login.
We can. We would need an OAuth client for that. So they're kind of separated roles. So let's start with a resource server and then we'll do the client right afterwards. How about that?
So what did I use good identifiers? I call this one AS, I hope, or auth server. Did I call it
auth server? Yeah.
Okay, good. That's not bad. So I'm going to call this resource server.
Perfect.
A new service, a new microservice, and I'm just going to bring in Spring Security and the web support.
Yeah, let's bring in a resource server as well. Okay. And since resource server kind of inherits from security, yeah, you can go ahead and get rid of that.
Okay.
And I mean, I think that's it. Yeah.
That's it. Okay. So we're doing the Trinity here: the auth server, the resource server, and if you're all good, OIDC client. Okay. This is cool. Amit is saying the volume is not coming. Is everybody else able to hear what's happening? I hope so. If we're just talking to ourselves in the void, that would be a real pity. Would somebody just put in chat that they can hear? Not that you're liking what you hear, because I know you are, but if we're asking if you can hear. Of course, if they couldn't hear us, they wouldn't know to put it in the chat.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Abel says it's fine on his side, so okay. I don't know. Okay, as long as somebody can hear it, as long as the bytes are getting out across the internet somewhere. Okay, so we're in the resource server code, and this is pretty standard stuff, but what do we do? Properties?
Yes, let's go to the properties again. We really only need one property to kind of get going with this guy. Okay. We do need a controller, though. You're right about that.
This part I can do. I got this. Don't worry, Steve.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to make this happen. Watch this. People are going to be so impressed. Just hello. Okay. Map, string, hello. And we want to inject the, I want to be able to do this with the authenticated user, right? So I can do authenticated printable. And then, what do I get? Authentication, I guess. There we go.
Yeah, or I think you can get a JWT directly, actually, in this case.
Oh, how would I just
JWT, yeah.
Sweet nectar. So I'm going to say, hello, JWT dot
subject.
Subject, sure, yeah. Sounds good to me. Okay, so I want to lock that down. I don't want anybody to just be able to call the endpoint without being thank you. Okay, we got 3 people saying they can hear, so hopefully it's good. Okay, so this part I did the hard part, Steve. I think you'll agree.
Yeah,
this was
absolutely
the most code we've written so far. Okay, so now we need a resource server. I'll bet there's a property.
Yeah, so issuer URI, if you search for that in the autocomplete, and that is it. So let's just do http://localhost:8080. Now we'll have to mess with our ports here because we're going to have 2 apps running. So you kind of got to pick what ports we want to use for things.
Well, so the issuer URI is you're saying
that's it. Yep.
8081. Okay.
Okay.
And what else do we need to lock this down?
No, that's it. That's it.
You're silly. You're a silly man, Steve. It's ridiculous. Okay, up and running. Boom. Okay, so now I've got to do the whole token dance again.
Sure.
Okay. And now I just want to can I just make a curl? Come on. You admin client with that token? Is that the idea?
No, so we will need an authorization header specifically, and we'll use the bearer scheme.
Okay. Then what?
Yes. So then the dollar token would get passed in there.
In here. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
That's right. And then we don't need the -u, I don't think. Yeah.
And then
let's just hit our hello. Yeah.
8081. Hello. Ta-da! Failure. What did I do wrong? /
So yeah, let's get rid of that / and see, because it should
womp womp.
Should be happier. We'll see if that I didn't. Yeah. So just humor me for a second, Josh. Can we do something fun here?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's enable method security on this resource server. Can we do that?
Yeah. Okay. @enable. Here we go. @enable global method something.
No, let's do just method security. Enable method security.
Okay.
So this is new in 6. Well, not new, but new, the new default.
5.6. Okay. So what happened to the global one? I just noticed that was deprecated. I guess that's what happened to it. It's deprecated. Okay.
That's right. So this is using a different API, the Authorization Manager API, some pretty new, well, again, not new, but the new default. And so it's pretty great.
A new service that's going to provide the response for us, and we're going to forward to that. Is that the idea?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
So it's a service. How do I get access? Can I use security context holder in this case still?
You can.
So I'm going to have to call this thing to get the data.
Yeah. So in your case, give me an example of what you're thinking, because I think we can just use annotations, right? We can use pre-authorized annotations and all that good stuff.
Right. Okay. So, well, but how do I get the dot? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, how do I get the current name?
Right. So you could use the security context holder to do that. Yeah.
Does this need to be public?
Yeah.
Be authorized. Okay. And then return this, and so I need the again the signature. I don't want to have to inject. I don't want to have to pass as a parameter the jot.
Right.
So I want to look it up through, I suppose, this security context holder.
That's certainly one option for us.
Okay.
So we get the context, get the authentication, and from there we'd get the principal.
Pass that down to dot. Whoa.
Yeah, so I think we can cast that to JWT.
Okay, and so what is the? Are we gonna use spell, or what are we gonna put here?
So yeah, let's use has authority.
Okay.
So just has authority. I don't think we need to put it in. Yeah. Make my screen brighter so I can see what I'm doing. So yeah, scope underscore user dot read, and that'll be exactly right. There you go.
Underscore user dot read without the quotes or with the quotes?
With the quotes, and we'll make the scope all caps.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
So we're gonna call. Okay, so I'm gonna inject that thing here. Final greeting service in the constructor, and here I'm going to make a call to that thing. I'll say this dot service dot greet. I won't be able to call that unless I'm authenticated. Is that fair?
Unless you're authenticated and have the user read scope. That's right.
Okay. Let's try again. I'm going to restart. That old token will be expired, but if it hadn't been expired already, then I could still use that with it, even though I've restarted this a few times, right? It has nothing to do with that.
This resource server is completely stateless. So
okay.
Yeah.
So token, great. What did I just do? Come on, Josh, make it work. There. Sweet. Amazing. Okay. So we just did it both ways. We just did the service pre-authorized, and this is great for GraphQL, by the way. So if you're doing GraphQL and you want to do secured parts of the object graph, the controller resolvers or the services that you use to provide the data that feeds into the resolvers can be secured by them at the method level. Why can't we just use AutoWire for dependent? You can, but then you're gonna get sad because your tests are every time you use @AutoWired and field injection, a unit test dies every time, and it's just sad. Just save the tests. Don't use @AutoWired. It's not required for the constructor, and you shouldn't do it on fields. And there's no, I almost never find a reason to use setters. So somebody's asking about this, and it's a good question. Just do constructor injection. It's actually less code, and the intent is clear to everybody. Okay. I'm satisfied that this is amazing. I always wanted to be able to do what we just did. It's been years since I've been able to do what we just did, which is from whole cloth, stand up an authorization server, stand up a resource server, and then this demo could have finished before we did the method authentication and authorization rather, and it was still amazing, and it just got better.
Well, okay. I mean, what would it take to make it even better, Josh? What do you think?
OIDC login. That's what I'm like.
Okay.
The final piece. Although we should is it I feel like this is going a little too quickly. We should have
right. We need to have some problems, right? It's
it's so good. We'll try GraalVM afterwards. That'll take at least a minute for each build, right? So that'll slow things up a little bit. But okay, let's go back to is there anything else we should know about this? This particular resource server story?
Not really. I mean, unless you want to, add maybe some kind of post endpoint. Other than that, I think this is it, right?
Some sort of what endpoint?
So if we want to do a post, maybe we do something that requires our user.write scope as well.
Oh, okay. Was that just more of this, user.write?
Yeah, just more of that.
Okay. Well,
one of the main kind of things to show here is when we're using resource server, we're not going to be using CSRF tokens. So we don't have to mess with that because we're going to be doing everything using API calls. So
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so this is great if you've already got the token. The real question then comes, where do you get how do you incept the token? And that means somewhere along the line, you've got to do a login. And
That's right.
And in OAuth, the idea is that it's actually delegated authentication, right? You're not doing the authentication with OAuth. You're delegating to something else that then signals in whatever way it does through some back channel that everything is fine. And then all the rest of the conversation is about authorization with the newly authenticated user, which gets authenticated on the domain that is trusted, right?
You said that perfectly, Josh. Are you sure you're not an expert?
No idea. I just play one on TV.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to say is, it's very important that the login happens in a place that you can see the secure padlock in the browser and everybody trusts what's happening there, right? So we've got a token here, but we're doing it by curl. We're manually incepting a token, then sending it here. For a web browser app, it's not going to be great if you tell the user, okay, now run this curl command and then send it to this endpoint, and then you can put it in this form field, right? There's got to be like a So that's
some kind of magic. Yeah.
That's
so what's the magic?
Yeah, exactly. What does that look like now? And actually, this is normally, paradoxically, this is the first thing people learn, even though, frankly, I think you're better off by learning the resource server stuff first, and then it's simple.
100%. And I think that's why it's great that we've kind of done it in this order, because we've proven that everything else works now. So now, if we want to do the hard part, which we'll see how hard it is in the end, right?
Yeah.
That's really the last step, not the first one. So let's do that next.
Okay, I'm ready. Should I do a new service, or should we just modify this?
Let's do a new service. Let's call it auth client. Yeah.
Okay, start that Spring Authorization third time in so many minutes. Auth client and OAuth client. Look at that.
So let's
know what does Rich. Just all there. It's all
right.
There.
Yeah, isn't it great?
And then I guess web.
Let's do something crazy here, because we'll have an easier time if we do it this way. Let's add Spring Cloud Gateway instead of web.
Yes. Yep. So we don't want the. Well, this brings in reactive web too, right? This is also
right.
Okay. So.
And I don't know if we need the web flux dependency or not with Gateway.
Never hurts to have it.
That doesn't hurt. So I think that's it.
Okay. So we're really spicing things up here. We're going to do a reactive client application talking to our IDP, our auth server. Okay. Ready? Oh, do we want GraalVM? We can do GraalVM too. Whatever. Sure. We haven't capitalized on that GraalVM dependency on any of these three things yet, but let's just make them all work on the JVM.
Right.
Okay. And auth client.zip. Okay. Yeah, it comes with gateway. We just wanted to be sure though. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Thanks, James. Well done. I'll take that. I'm going to say that you intended that for me, but I appreciate it. Yeah. No, Steve, this is. I mean, seriously, what a valuable thing you've done. You and the team, you and the rest of our team, have done with it.
The team has done a lot of work to make this possible, and even the boot team has done a lot of work to support us. Just to get to Spring Authorization or get to Spring Initializer was a huge road, and they helped a lot. So it's been an awesome partnership.
Love it. Love to hear it. Love to see it. Love to work with it. So I guess we don't write. This is like, there's even less code required for this, unless you're going to do something with Gateway, I guess.
Yeah, and honestly, that's probably what we're going to do. So let's open up our properties. How do you feel about writing gateway properties here? I have not done that. I typically use YAML for this part. So.
So I use the Java API usually.
Okay, that's fair. I also don't use that very often, so I may not be as much of a help there, but I can tell you kind of what to do.
Well, so can we start with just, before we get into Gateway, so Gateway, what are we using Gateway for?
So what we'll do is we'll have Gateway kind of act as our OAuth 2 client. And so it's going to manage the tokens for us, kind of like as you walked us through with that explanation. And what we'll do is we'll actually proxy a request over to our resource server using Gateway. So we'll define one route that goes to that greeting endpoint, and then, you know, that's it, right?
Okay, so gateway route locator. Here, you and I are in equally uncomfortable territory, new territory. But okay, so we want to proxy requests to which one? To this endpoint, hello, and send it to the localhost 8081, I think it was.
I think that's right. Yep.
Okay, so that'll proxy it. It'll proxy whatever we send on this service, which is on port 8082.
Okay.
/hello. It'll go to localhost 8081 /hello. Is that what?
That's right. Okay. That's right. And then we just need one filter,
which is,
and that'll be the token relay filter.
Oh, nice. That's so freaking cool. Okay. And lambdas. Bless me.
That's right. Oh, beautiful.
So do I need to do any properties to tell it to be an OIDC?
Yeah, so we'll need a few properties to configure the OAuth 2 client itself.
So do we have a registration now, a new default one like Google and GitHub and whatever?
For Spring, we don't as of yet. That's a great point. That would be cool to have, right?
Yeah, but of course.
But we only need one property really for it, which is our issue or URI. So it's not too bad, but
8080.
So yeah, that works. So what we have to do is say .provider, I think, here. And we'll just call the provider Spring, and then we'll define that.
So registration .spring, is that right?
Yep, that works. No, that was good. Perfect. And then just Spring. And then we'll define the provider itself. So instead of registration, we'll say provider. We'll also call it Spring. And then issuer URI. There we are.
That's the authorization server or the resource server?
Authorization server.
Okay.
And we do need probably a couple more properties for the client itself. So after line 2, you can copy that and add a couple more here. So one of them would be the client ID.
On the client
on the registration.
On the registration, okay, client.
Yep. Spring.
Client ID equals.
So we need to define one because we don't have one for this yet. So this is.
Client.
So what do we want to call it? Client, okay.
Then client secret is that decrypted thing.
In this case, it'll be plain text, so we'll just say secret. Okay. And then we'll need the authorization grant type.
Okay, authorization client credentials.
In this case, let's do authorization code.
Okay. We need to change the authorization types for the auth server to include this now because we only have client credentials.
We will. Absolutely.
Okay.
Next, let's add a client authentication method here. And we'll do client secret basic again.
Client secrets. Client secret basic?
Basic, yep. That's it.
Okay.
And we have two more. The next one is redirect URI.
Okay. To this auth client hosting port.
Yeah, so in this case, let's kind of use a slightly more automatic value. Let's use in curly braces here base URL. And we won't need the $sign in this case because it'll get substituted by Spring Security itself.
All right.
Base URL /login.
Nice.
OAuth 2 code. And then again in curly braces /registration ID.
Oh, registration ID. Registration ID. Okay.
Right.
Like that.
And so what that's doing is saying, okay, whatever request to this backend we're making, we're going to resolve the base URL using the request.
Right.
And then you've called your registration ID Spring. So it's going to inject Spring into that last variable there for you. So you don't have to actually hard code that.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay.
Okay. And then we need one more property.
One more.
One more. And that is scope.
Oh, okay. Right. Makes sense. That user.read or whatever.
That's right. So user.read, but we'll need two of them actually. We're going to add, yeah, you could do user write as well, but we need OpenID because we want to log in using OpenID Connect. If I recall correctly, that was your end goal, right?
Right. OpenID. How do I correctly write that?
I think that's right. I think you can do that. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Hmm?
Okay, so that's it for this side.
We have to go change this thing though, right?
That's right.
Okay, so let's go to the auth server and do that quick. To include that here, I guess.
Yes, and we'll add refresh token as well. So third one.
Refresh token. Okay. When we restart this, that means I need to regenerate the token, which will have long since expired anyway. But
yeah, one other thing I'll point out here, I think you called it client, so we might need to change the client ID here.
Okay, just client?
I think you called it client, yep.
Okay, right.
And go ahead and delete the access token time to live because that's a really short token timeout, yeah. There you go.
Redirect URIs cannot be empty. Why not?
And yeah, we're going to need to add that as well. And also add the OpenID scope while you're in here too.
Open here, yeah, OpenID. Okay, and then redirect URIs is what? The client OAuth 8082?
That's right.
Specifying it both here and in the client OIDC login thing.
Yeah, and we'll need that full path, so it'll be a login OAuth 2 code.
Login OAuth 2 code, like that?
Yep, and then /spring, because that's our registration ID. Okay. And one thing I'll point out here too, because it'll trip people up quite a bit, is we're using localhost here, but we have we're going to have two different services running on localhost. And so just to make sure, depending on which stack you're using, the name of the session cookie might be different, but just to kind of avoid collisions, let's use 127.0.0.1 for that URL. Okay, 127.0.0.1.
Okay. Should I do Etsy host and set up a few host names? Would that be even easier?
You could definitely do that. I tend not to, just because that's one extra step for folks to have to do, but yeah, we could totally do that.
Okay, for now, as long as the tokens are discriminated by because they're not by port, right? They're discriminated by the host. So for demos, this complexity doesn't exist when you deploy it to like actual IPs and stuff.
Exactly. So
okay. I've never felt more confident about something I didn't understand. I'm ready. Can I restart this thing?
I think so.
Okay, fingers crossed. Okay. Hey, well, look at that. Okay, so let's get a token, I guess, like that. And then we don't need a token, actually. What am I doing? We're going to go log in, right? So localhost.
That's right.
I have to start that other one. Did I even start it? I don't think I did. Here. This is the auth server. Client. Oh, client failed client ID. That's because I changed it. So the call to this is no longer.
It's just client.
Great. Okay, so again, just make sure. Let's add client ID. Wait. Oh, okay, I'm going to clear this. Happy. Very good. Okay. So that we didn't need to do that, but it does prove that it works. So now we go to localhost 8082 and try that out. 127.0.0.1, I mean. Hit start up.
And is that running? Yeah, we need to. Yeah, there you go. Fingers crossed.
Secret.
So this will be a little interesting. So now we have to kind of ask ourselves, what is the username and password for this, right? If you go back to your authorization server, I think you cleared the console, but by default, it's generating that password, just like Spring Security and Spring Boot do for us.
Oh, in that case, I'm just going to restart this thing. What could go wrong? It's fine.
Right. So there's
Password.
your password. Mm-hmm.
So this is because we didn't define a authentication manager or something like that. Like,
right, a user detail service. We could set the password in properties if we wanted to. The username is user in this case. That's kind of the default.
okay, that's the password right here.
Yeah. And there will be a couple things that we'll have to work through here because, again, if you remember, we were using 127.0.0.1 for our host, but I know you used localhost to launch it, so you might want to go back and try that one more time.
127.0.0.1.
8080. 8082 is right. Yep, you're right.
It keeps forwarding me to localhost.
That's right. So this is a redirect to the authorization server to log in.
On 8080.
Yep.
So why I want to log in. Why do I use this?
Right. So what's happening now is that we're not logging in as our client. We're logging in as ourselves. So we're a user. And so there needs to be some user that can log in. And so we just have one default user right now.
Can I do a user detail service, the in-memory one quick?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Would
let's
that
do it.
work? Okay, so and you could point this to your SQL database or whatever, but
right.
User dot.
Mm-hmm.
Username is sjohn. What was it?
sjohn R. Sure.
That one. And
JOHNR, I think. Yeah. There you go.
That.
Yep.
Then what is this? It's a collection of periodic array. So user details dot with user with default password encoder field username. Don't do this in production, people. This is just
right.
Yeah, this is obviously wrong. I might do this. Rob Winch cries a little bit.
Right.
Don't want that. Ah. I had one job. Okay. I don't know how to format that nicely. Do I need to do authorities? I suppose I do, huh?
I think you can get away without them, but yeah, you can certainly add a role for each one if
me like
we have to decide who's the admin and who's the regular user.
And then user. Okay.
There you go.
That seemed like it will work.
I think so. Mm-hmm.
So least privilege first. So JLong and PW. Mm-hmm. 127.0.0.1 8082. Mm-hmm. Log in. JLong PW. Okay. It redirected back to this where there's no /
Right.
I could do. Mm-hmm. Can I? So wait a minute. What if I changed the resource server to just be / So that way, actually, or better yet, how do I tell it to redirect? Well, no. First, let's just do that. That's fine.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Resource server, and then go to the gateway code and change that on the auth client. Mm-hmm. So / will go to that. I guess I'm not sure if that'll work.
It should.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
So now I've restarted everything. I think 8082. Brand new incognito browser. Oh, I did already have the token.
I think we didn't restart the auth server, but yeah.
Let's do that. Okay, go to the auth server. Start.
Mm-hmm. And go ahead and restart the client one more time too. Yeah. Get it fresh.
Okay, everything is brand new. Incognito mode, localhost, sorry, 127.0.0.1 8082. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And it's JOHNR and PW, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Oh, that's so good.
Okay. So I want to point another thing out here. So that felt a little too easy to you. Don't you feel like that was just too easy?
Well, yeah. I mean, look at me. I have an hour still before my
Right.
appointment. The 15-minute drive. I was expecting this to take, like, come back tomorrow. We'll finish it. But no,
Yeah.
here we are.
One thing we haven't done yet is we haven't had our users actually consent to have their resources accessed, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So because we kind of adapted our registered client from the client credentials example in the blog post, we didn't add that. So we could require consent as part of this.
Always a good idea. Let me do that in just half a second here.
Mm-hmm.
We're asking about the code, and frankly, I think that's a good idea. We should stash our problems here. Okay. Authorization server boot 3.1. Can I do get repository name? That's weird. Okay. Public. I'm taking your work and I'm going to make it open source. Okay.
Nice.
Nice. It's the best. Okay. So code. Copy that. CD downloads. CD downloads. Desktop. It's okay. I'm gonna stop everything for just a second. Okay. I just want to make sure we have a checkpoint because it's already getting too good.
Yeah.
Checkpoint. Can't have this go too quickly. CD.
Right. Slow it down, Josh.
Downloads off server to here. Copy R downloads off client to here. Copy R downloads server. Add. Okay. I didn't have. Well. Git commit off or bust. Okay. Now,
Nice.
should be all here, right? Like go there. There, people. Look, you see, are you not amused? Look at this. Amazing. Okay, hold on. Let's exit that. Get rid of this. Steve downloads. Okay, look, Steve, this hurts me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta trust that everything I just did is successfully backed that up,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so X. So idea off client. Gradle. Idea off service. Gradle. Idea server. Gradle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So where are we? It's indexing, thinking really hard.
Cool.
Server.
So the auth server, you want to add that consent?
Yep. So let's do that in properties?
Or in properties. Mm-hmm.
Naturally. Okay. Now what?
So we'll just need one additional property there. Now it's underneath our client. So I think we called it client 1.
Client 1. Where did you see
and
that?
We'll add, so like where you have authorization server .client 1. Yep. So we'll copy up to there. And then we'll add require authorization consent. Mm-hmm.
Is that it? That's all?
That's it.
I did all that work. We could have done. You're right. We could have done that. I made this hard for no reason. Okay, so auth server, go. And then resource server, go.
Mm-hmm.
Auth client, go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now localhost I know 127.0.0.1. What is the meaning of it? I don't know.
That's a great question. 8082.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And SJOHNR, and your password is definitely not PW, but that's so cool. It even looks good. I'm sure the next thing is going to be like, how do I style this? And
Oh yeah.
you know. Okay, so do I want to give that Steve Riesenberg guy seems like trouble, but you know what? We'll do it. We'll go ahead and submit. Okay, look at that. That's so cool.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, even.
It is beautiful.
It's ridiculous. I can't believe that just all worked. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Git status. Consent was asked. Okay. So now, I don't know. Yeah, you want to try GraalVM or where are we?
I think it's time. Yeah, let's do it.
No one else. Like, look, did you see that, people? I mean, whatever. It's just amazing. I can't believe what's happening here. Let's just put this in. Are we still streaming? You're still here, so it's got to be around here somewhere. Oh, we got a good question here, which is, in some apps, users do not have to consent, but just access some resource. That's fine too. Yeah, that's what we did before.
Right. Exactly.
Before I added that one little property. There's the code. Go get the code. GitHub.com/coffeesoftwareshow/authorization-server in boot 3.1. Okay. What? I don't know. It's just magic trick that happened today. Any given Friday.
Right.
I hope that person did. I guess the JVM is now taking almost 500 megs of memory on the authorization server. You know, look, I dare you to do in 500 megs or less what we just did any other way. But nonetheless, you're right. We could make it better. We could probably make it more efficient, right? So, GraalVM. Here we go. Auth server. I'm scared of this one. Like this one, there's so many moving parts, in this thing, all of which work by themselves out of the box with GraalVM. But I haven't really tried this. Do you think it's going to be okay? Have you tried this?
I have, and it's great.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay. So do I want to, let's see, I have enough CPU? I've got like 3, how many gigs do I have? Like, let's see, where's my about this Mac? Get over here. Get back here, you stupid cursor. Keep wandering over my iPad. 64 gigs. That's just enough. I can run Slack and compile 3 GraalVM native images.
Right.
So, okay.
If we had 4 apps, you might need more, but yeah, I think we're covered.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop this as well. Middle W native compile. Okay, that's the auth client. We got the auth server. That just leaves the resource server. Stop this one as well. Okay, Gradle W native compile. Did I remember to add GraalVM to all of them?
I think you didn't for one of them. It might be the resource server. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So start OAuth resource server, GraalVM native image, and web.
I think we had web. Yeah.
So is this a like for like? We called it resource server. I gotta make sure I do that as well. Okay. Okay.
There we go. Yeah, there may be 1 or 2 properties we'll need to add. We'll give it a try, but let's see.
Always have to try.
Example.
Where's our? Okay, they're all still compiling. I'm not hearing my fans. Oh wow, one of them finished already. The auth server's already done. That's the one I was most scared of. You're saying that's just that's like build native compile. What the F? So it's been. Oh, that's interesting. It actually starts about as slow with native as it does on the JVM. Oh, is that because it's doing some sort of like cryptographic thing?
That's right. So we're still using some generated keys, and I think we're generating some passwords. That part will make it start slow, and it takes a little bit of elbow grease to kind of move past that for sure.
Okay, so let's not. Okay, so that's. But it's not the startup time that's important here. It's the memory, and that's what I want to look at. So let's grab that process identifier. Where's that thing? Where is it? Get over here. Where are you? There it is. Okay, 7648. PS minus O RSS. 97 megs. Yes, yes. So it's starting up slow because it's generating. It's using cryptography, which takes time. It's time bound. To generate a suitably unique key or two or three or whatever it's doing. So that takes a little bit of time. That's not a representation or reflection of GraalVM or even Spring Security. It's just security in general. Any technology would have that. Good. And it's taking less than 100 megs of RAM to run this authorization server. So you can manage and deploy Active Directory, which is, I guarantee you, not gonna fit in 100 megs of RAM. You can't even get Slack to fit in 100 megs of RAM. And then this is up and running. So now what about the other ones? This is the resource server. Okay. So build native compile resource server. Go. So that started in 83 thousandths of a second. It's up and running. Again, startup time though is not all that important. What we care about here is the memory. So RSS 96 megs of RAM, thank you. And then the auth client, how do we do that? Compiled as well. Build native compile auth client. Ding. So it started up in 116 thousandths of a second, but again, not that important. Look at the process identifier. Where did I put it?
PID 8090. Oh, yeah, 8091. That's interesting.
It looks like a port, right? Okay, so
yeah,
PS minus O RSS 8091. You said. 104 megs of RAM. Yes, please. Thank you. So I guess, do you think it'll work, or is there something we might run into?
Let's try it. I think there might be one thing, and I might know a way to get around it. Well,
Okay.
Let's try it first.
So
8082. Yeah.
Okay. And JLong PW. Don't ask. Okay. Yes, please submit. Hello, JLong.
Oh, it did just work. Okay. Well, that's
Perfect.
amazing. I don't know what else there is to do, Josh. I think you got to go to the dentist now.
I think I got to go to the dentist. I was trying to delay as much as I can.
Right.
Yeah, this is freaking amazing. Steve, thank you. Thank you. Who had fun?
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Who got something out of this? This is just, we even played music. It's been 1 hour and 11 minutes since we started this journey.
It's been fun. It was a fun hour and 11 minutes.
For me, and I think for the audience, I think people will agree this is dope. This is super cool. Let me see here. Let me see. How do I stop sharing my screen here? Stop screen. There we go. Yeah, this has been amazing. Maybe adapt my GraalVM request to dentist music. Yeah.
Right.
Amazing. Just, I'll check in all the code. I don't think we did anything besides compile it.
No, you added GraalVM to your resource server. That was about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, to the person complaining about the 500 megs of memory for just one thing, we're taking 300 megs of memory for all three of them now.
Right.
Like, it's secure. It's also fast. It's nice when you can get functional and efficiency, you know? Have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, my friend. See you again.
See ya.